Okay, so here's a drum mix I've set up here for a song called Patagonia. It's off the Palms record, and Palms is my new band. I play drums in the band, and I also recorded and mixed this album. And I wanted to show how I use McDSP plugins to mix the record. So here we have the drum mix for Patagonia, and I have all of these drum tracks routed over here to my drum bus, which is this guy here. And I also like to set up a parallel compression bus, which is this guy. And I also have a drum reverb set up here. And I have all these guys sent over to this aux input, which I call my 2-bus. And then I have all these guys routed over to this guy here. Then this guy sends over to another aux input, which is what I use for monitoring. Then when I want to print, I add an audio track here, mute this guy, and then print to the audio track. And that's how I'd set up my whole mix. But here we just have drums, and I was just going to focus on the drum mix today. Okay, I'm just going to solo the snare here, and this is my send to my reverb, and this is my send to my parallel compression. And then I have a couple filter banks set up here, and also a compressor bank. So I'm going to hit play. And I just have my snare track soloed. And then let me bypass these guys so you can hear what it sounds like without. Turn off the reverb, turn off the compression. And there's the snare totally dry. But sometimes when I start EQing the snare, I like to hear it with the reverb in there. So it just depends. Sometimes I like to have the reverb when I'm EQing the snare. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll start with it off and then bring it in and see how the reverb's affecting the snare. And I don't know, I find it helpful. So that's just reverb and a little compression you're hearing. And I really like this reverb, the revolver reverb. So let me turn these guys back on. So I usually start with a high pass filter, just to get rid of some of that low rumbly bleed in the snare mic, like the kick drum. So I have a high pass at 150, and what I love about this plugin is this peak knob here. So you can boost a little bit from where you're rolling off. So if you roll off at 97 or 20 or whatever, you can low pass too. But if you're high passing and you find where you think it starts to sound good, adjust it. So let's get it right around one here, and then you can boost where you're cutting. So instead of it being just sort of a drastic slope or cutoff point, you can kind of give it a little boost there, and it kind of helps beef it up just a bit, so you're not just, like I said, rolling off this drastic cut. You can give it a little boost, and you can adjust the slope to drastic or a little less drastic. But I've never seen this in another plugin, and I love this plugin for sculpting. Then I'll pull up another filter bank, and this is a 6-band filter that I can use to get a little more surgical. So once I've cleaned out some of that low end, I use this guy to get in there and adjust some of the frequencies that might be problematic or things I want to boost. So here's with it off. And I'm cutting some 400, cutting some around 1K. I'm boosting some 4K and boosting some 16K. And here's with it back on. You can really hear how nice the EQ sounds. These boosts are really helping the snare cut, and then getting rid of some of these mids are giving it some clarity. So here I'm going to show you a hi-hat section that I made sound really unique with the Futz box. And I love this plugin. It's a lot of fun to mess with. It's great for making things sound unique. Like maybe you want to get like a Loaf Eye effect on a vocal, or in this case a hi-hat. So I just doubled this hi-hat track and processed it with Fuzzbox. So you can hear how cool this plugin sounds. You can really get in here and mess with it and make it, you know, totally unique. It's great on vocals. I love it on vocals. So I usually just go here to this presets menu and you just click on this guy, and it already has some really amazing presets. You can pick your category, and I decided to go with this little tape deck, and you can go and adjust your low and high pass filter and kind of move them around and get it to where you like it, and then go over to this guy. I like to use this to find the place where I want to emphasize. So if you find a frequency you like, and you can go in and boost it and just zero it in, find what you like. Mess with this distortion knob. This is really fun. Who doesn't like distortion? So let's say you want to get a lo-fi effect on your whole drum mix. So I would just take the Fuzzbox and drag it over to your mix bus, wherever you're sending your drums, and put it on there. And you can hear it right away. It sounds pretty cool. So just get in there, and you know, I would instead of boost, maybe try to cut some of that low mid, and just get in there and start messing with the plugin and see what you like. And you know, this plugin, the more you mess with it, the more you're gonna find cool, you know, things about it. Every time I use this guy, I find some new, you know, ways to make things sound cool and unique. So that's a basic quick overview of how I work with my drums. You know, just get in there and start using some of these plugins and mess with them. And like I said before, the more you use these plugins, the more you're gonna discover with them. They're really powerful, really great, really good sounding plugins. And these are just a few of them. McDSP makes a lot more great plugins that I use, but these are just a few that I like on my drums. So check them out and enjoy.